Hey everybody, welcome to Whiskey Whistle. I'm the host of the show, Mark, and you're watching Whiskey Review number 178. This is Ledaig from the Tobermory Distillery, and this one is actually an independent bottler from Gordon and MacPhail, known as their Connoisseurs Choice. So Connoisseurs Choice, 1999 Ledaig, bottled in 2015. So it could be 16 years old, 15 or 16 years old, depending on the bottling dates. It's 46% ABV. I would guess it's unchill filtered and natural in color, given the light color of it. Although it doesn't say unchill filtered here on the bottle, so we don't know exactly. It likely would be. So let's get that opened. And if you're looking on my little table here, you'll see I've got the actual bottle of Ledaig, 10-year-old, the standard bottle. So we'll compare those and see how they do against one another. Let's get this little bottle poured, and I think we'll just go about half in. Okay, we'll keep it light. This is my third review of the day, and we'll pour. Keep that on the table, I guess, right? We'll pour a little bit of Ledaig 10-year-old as well to compare. Lovely packaging. I really do enjoy the Tobermory distillery for its packaging, also for the content. So we'll pour just a little bit of the 10. There we go. A little bit less than the 15. That's okay. Look at the colors. The colors are very similar, aren't they? In fact, I might like to say that this one is a little bit lighter, but it's a smaller bottle, so we can't really compare the bottles. Let's compare the glasses. And color-wise, these are identical. They're identical in color. It's a very light, almost like diluted lemonade color, isn't it? Now, Ledaig, if you're not aware, it is the peated version of Tobermory. Tobermory on the Isle of Mull. This would be my third review of Tobermory Distillery. So let's have a look at these now. On the nose, I get a very, very subtle peat. I shouldn't say it's subtle. It's a well-established peat. However, the peat happens to be a little bit less medicinal and a little bit more earthy than what you get from the Isle of Islay. Lots of licorice, however. So licorice and herbs and earthiness to it. Peat moss, well, sure, a little bit of peat moss, a little bit of earth, a little bit of hay, and yet there's this nice sweetness in there. Sweet, ripe apples. Perhaps some grapes, some green grapes. Lemon, also a little bit of lemon here. Citrus. And, well, really nice to smell. For people who don't like peat, you may not like this. However, you might actually smell this and say, oh, it's different. Because it's quite different than just the regular Islay peat. The standard Islay peat. It's not like a Lefroy or a Culila. It's much more like Highland Park, or perhaps like some of the peated Highlanders, like that which you get from Edredour. Edredour's peated versions, or Longro perhaps. Yeah, you get the idea. What about the standard 10? Interestingly, I don't notice as much peat here, and they're both 46. This is actually 46.3% ABV. And as I look at that on the white paper here, do I notice a color difference? They are pretty much identical. The 10-year-old might be just slightly darker in color, just a hair, which means down to casking. I think this is all bourbon casks, and by the smell of things here, so is this one. Does it say the cask? No, it doesn't. Now, the Connoisseur's Choice, so let's see, it writes here, islands, subjected to harsher elements of the Scottish climate, single malts from the islands are generally robust and full-bodied. Definitely robust. Yeah, no indication there of casking. Well, let's give it a smell. Well, I already smelled it. Let's give it a taste now, okay? Cheers, everyone. Now, at 16 years old, you should endeavor to keep it in your mouth for 16 years. You should also wait perhaps about 16 minutes before you try it. I don't have time for that today. It's got a very, very lovely flavor, and I do believe it's mostly ex-bourbon matured, although there may be some what they call traditional Scotch whiskey casks involved, which basically means, I guess they call them Frankenstein casks. Take some staves, that's the wood pieces, take some staves from a variety of casks, which could be bourbon, it could be sherry, and put them together. And then get them to fit, get it watertight, and fill it up. So they generally take these casks and they end up becoming bigger, in fact. So they start with like the 200 and something liter bourbon casks and similarly sized sherry casks or port pipes or whatever. Probably not port pipes, probably sherry. And then they put them together in something called a hogshead, which holds much more, perhaps 300 liters, 400 liters. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, the nose is really developing here. It's getting much sweeter as time passes. And that could be because I tasted it, so a little bit of my saliva has now entered the whiskey. I do, you try not to put your, try not to backwash, right? But it's pretty hard to avoid unless you really tilt your head up and pour it very gently into your mouth, such as this. But then you spill a lot, don't you? And you don't want to spill your good whiskey. Interestingly, the finish, if I can skip ahead, the finish has a really nice roundness to it. Flawless finish. Fruity and peaty. Apples and grapes and earthy peat and burning embers, burning campfire. And the palate is very juicy. Juicy flavors. Apple juice, yeah, a little bit of that. With a little bit of lemon added. A touch of melon even. A little bit of melon. And the peat lasts quite a long time. That's a really nice one. Let's add some water. And while we let that sit for a minute, let's look at the 10-year-old again. It's been a while since I've had that. I have not seen Ledaig here on shelves. I've seen Tobermory, not Ledaig. And there's a Tobermory 15-year-old I would love to get, but the store that's selling it is offering it for 300,000 won. That's about $330 Canadian, about maybe $270 American, and I just can't do that. That is just nuts. For a 15-year-old whiskey? No, not going to happen. Love the box, looks beautiful. If I could get that in Canada, it'd probably be a little bit less. If I could get it in the USA, then it would likely be under $200 American, maybe more like 120, I guess. If you know the price of that, let me know. On the one hand, this is not as peaty as the Connoisseur's Choice. A little bit more fruit influenced, whereas this is a little bit more on the peat influenced, but the peat is aged. So 16-year-old peated whiskey, very different from 10-year-old. 10-year-old seems to be the standard for peated whiskeys, except for Lagavulin, who go with 16 as their standard. Or I guess 8, they may be pushing 8 years old forward now. I haven't tried that one yet either. Again, the price is a little weird. It's 8 years old, and it's $100 in Canada, in Winnipeg. The 16-year-old is $120. I just, doesn't add up for me. Sorry. Sorry, Lagavulin. I think I really like peat as it ages. As a young whiskey, 10 years old, peat has a nice punch, a nice burning, a nice kind of a charcoaly flavor and scent. As it develops over beyond 10, 12, 14, 16 years, you get more of this licorice and flavors that we really, there are no food flavors that coincide with some of those that you get in whiskey, period, at that age, and likewise for peated whiskeys at 16 or beyond. With water, it's just really well rounded. There's no rough edges here. Obviously they chose a great cask, or they provided a great cask to the distillery to fill, and kept it in their, likely in their warehouses for those 16 years. Beautiful. Any differences with water? Maybe a little bit more caramels coming in. Gets a little bit sweeter, though the peat is still very well established, and the finish is predominantly fueled by the fires of that peat. Something I can't quite describe what happens to peat beyond those years. Now, you see this guy sitting here, and that's something that also just blows my mind, because the 10-year-old version of that one, not exactly to my liking. This one, however, that really floats my boat. This really floats my boat as well. Very long finish, nice flavors, no rough edges. It's great neat. It's great with water. A little bit of a change, which is nice. A little more, oddly, more peat noticed here with water now than initially. And again, a very mouth-coating, long-lasting finish. I still taste it now. It's still well noticed on my palate. It's carrying through in the finish, even though I've swallowed it, you know, what, 20 seconds already now? Getting to 30 seconds, still there. Now I'm just left with a little hint of peat, a little hint of dryness, and a subtle sweetness, just you know, balanced on the precipice of falling off of the cliff and disappearing from memory, but it's still there. That's long, I would say. So, Connoisseur's Choice for Ledaig, distilled in 1999 and bottled in 2015 from Gordon and MacPhail. I'll bring the bottle close to you one more time. So, give it a nice smile for a picture so I can put that on YouTube on the cover. The WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for this little baby is going to be 92 out of 100. That's the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Ledaig, 46% ABV from Connoisseur's Choice, Gordon and MacPhail, independent bottlers. Lovely, very nice. I like that one a little more than I like this one. I like this one a lot. Also, great value. If you're in Winnipeg, I think that's still available, and you should get it because the price is right, the ABV is right, it's unchill filtered, it's natural in color, it's from the Isle of Mull, and it's got the coolest cork stopper in the industry. So look at that. You need that, and when you finish the bottle, you're going to want to keep that because it's just gorgeous, isn't it? I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yep, nicest cork stopper in the industry. Alright, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for what's to come. Lots to come. None of these have been done yet. And there's even more that you don't see here that I haven't put out yet. Some Canadians, a couple of Japanese. Like this little number over here. Okay. So stay tuned. Follow me on Facebook, please. WhiskyWhistle. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Please subscribe to this channel. You can do that right here if you're not a subscriber yet. And then there'll be another little floating button for you to push somewhere around here. Probably up there somewhere, okay? So click that to subscribe, and here's another interesting video for you to watch. I think I'll put my review of Tobermory 10-year-old up here. Ledaig 10-year-old up here. Watch that one, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.